Welcome and thank you for spending some time with me today. This week in the mindfulness course, the Introduction to Mindfulness called Befriending Ourselves, we talk about accessing the part of mindfulness that is the heart part, the heart space, and the heart practices. And that includes the part of mindfulness, that part of the definition that explains non-judgment, witnessing and paying attention on purpose without judgment, which has that gentle attitude and sense of love. And love as in not a feeling or an emotion, yet it does have a felt sense, but in the sense that it has always been here. It is our vast awareness in which all experience happens within. And so that's the love that I'm talking about, the steady heart that we can access through these practices that has always been here and always will be here, whether we see it or not. And that is the truth of who we are. But sometimes we wear this protective gear, like you see in the pictures on the news of doctors and nurses in the hospital wearing protective gear to protect themselves of the virus. And sometimes it's hard to see who's behind, who's beyond that protective gear. It's like going to a Halloween costume party and seeing all the fun Halloween costumes, sometimes scary. And this is a representation of who these people want you to think that they are. Maybe it's Marilyn Monroe or Freddy Krueger. Ugh, very scary. But we get it's an illusion. We become delusion to who is beyond that Halloween costume. And it's that steady heart, that love, that is the truth of who we are and what we are. And of course, it makes sense, evolutionary speaking, biologically, we protect ourselves to survive and for the ability to reproduce. We must. Think of a gazelle grazing in the African Saharas, I don't know if that's right, but in the big plains, and a lion comes about and starts chasing it. And so it goes into protection mode and flees, goes into flight, fight, or even sometimes freeze, playing dead, shutting down as we would. And then the lion goes, and the gazelle skillfully knows how to come back to its truth of who it is and what it is. We as humans have developed mechanisms in our minds and brains to hook onto the fight, flight, or freeze experience and carry it out into our lives. And we keep that protective gear on, and sometimes we forget who's underneath our own protective gear, and we forget what the truth is of our own selves. So in this course, we work with some loving kindness meditations, heart practices, to explore who is underneath, unraveling the process in which we protect ourselves with feelings and emotions and the human experience. By, the human experience is not wrong. The protection is not wrong. It's not bad. We don't want to get rid of it. We don't want it to stop, all in all. We just want it to rest a little bit so that our truth can come out. And that's because, just like I said with the gazelle, I mean, we have to protect ourselves at times. And we have to have this gamut of emotions to proceed in life. And sensations, it tells us when we've walked into a wall, or when we put our hand onto a hot stove. We know to not keep the hand on the hot stove, right? It's just when we get hooked and always think we're touching a hot stove when we're not touching a hot stove, then we are not skillfully responding to the present moment. And then we might take that out on ourselves or on others around us, loved ones that don't deserve it. That's the cost. And we deserve to rest. We deserve to give ourselves a break. And so that process is in accepting. Like I said, it is not wrong whatsoever, even when we're caught. The process in toward resting lies within accepting. And even when it's something you are not liking or having resistance on it, to accept that unlocks the pathway to go just a little bit further. And I don't mean further as in going deeper, facing the pain. You might, but in a restful way, in a gentle attitude. So the non-judgment part of mindfulness, which can also be said as a loving kindness, a gentle, all-encompassing love and acceptance, isn't with the attitude of, oh, I discovered I have fear in me and I am standing in my own way of happiness, so I have to change it and I have to get rid of it. There's nothing to change. And it's also not good vibes only. It's not good vibes only. It's letting it be here. And if we don't like it and we can't handle it, letting that be here. Really skillfully listening, creating this relationship with ourselves, befriending ourselves, and perhaps responding to that moment, like if you can't handle it, walking away, doing something else. It could even be watching TV, maybe reading a book, journaling. So we did a traditional loving kindness practice where we sent well-wishing to ourselves and others, which helps, especially when sending well wishes to others, gives us an easy access into the heart space, that felt sense, where then we can begin to work with some difficult emotions and feelings. And then we worked with the technique, the practice RAIN. RAIN being R for recognizing, and then A for accepting. And again, you might not like the experience that you're having, and so accepting even that. I is for investigating what's here with that curious attention. So, okay, we recognize maybe it's fear or worry, but then we investigate, well, what does worry feel like in the body? Like a somatic experience of what that feels like. And perhaps even asking, well, what am I believing? What would it look like if it changed? Is it changing? And then moving on to the letter N. N is for nurture. So responding to what is here with a sense of soothing, acceptance, love. And soothing could look like hands on the heart, or holding your own hand, which is my favorite soothing gesture. Some people like a hand on the face. I don't really like to touch my face. And not because I'm resisting it, because I try to keep my skin nice. And it could even be like a hug, you know. And it might sound like, I'm here, you know, like sitting with a friend. I'm here, I'm listening. You might even ask, what do you need right now? How can I be with you? It might even sound like yes. Saying the word yes has so much power to it. Just notice for a moment. Say yes. And then say no. Now, go inside. Feel into your heart space. And say yes. 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 Notice what that felt like. For me, it was like a down slope with like a easy gliding. Yes. Yes. And now say, go back inside and say, no. 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 You don't even have to say it harshly. Just no. What does that feel like? No. For me, it's like an instant wall. No. Like it's coming down. No. Like a garage door. And one feels more pleasant than the other. That's for sure. So saying yes, one feels yes, you know, is accepting and open and, you know, inviting. Honestly, a lot of these emotions and parts of ourselves that we don't like to feel or be with is a young part of us that has been asking for attention since they were young, since we were young, and we were taught not to like it and to resist it most of the time. And so we've gotten into that pattern. So what might it look like if we simply said yes? So try that on for size.